Well, you know, we do love our Grundigs on this channel, and this is an imposing device, isn't it? This is a Grundig RF 440. It's from the mid-1970s, tabletop radio, which was still a thing then, and it's a pretty big thing, a nice wood grain finish, or fake wood grain finish, a bit like you might find on a Ford Cortina, or maybe we should call it a Ford Taunus, because that's what the German version of the Cortina was known as. Nice three-wave band thing. No concessions to English here, although this was sold in Britain for the British market. All the labelling here is in German. You know, you've got Aus, you've got Sender, because that's what that means, station. Effectively, it means radio station. They don't use the word station for railways and buses and radios the way that we do. Oddly enough, I think I'm assuming this was quite an expensive thing, but it doesn't have any tone control. It's only got the volume control and the tuning control, and you know, the waveband buttons. This TA thing allows you to take an input from the DIN socket at the back, which is again a very common thing on Grundigs, and you got U, which is VHF and usual medium and long, and then this off button just pops all the buttons out. That's all it does. So there isn't an on button. Looking around the back, you can see it's got a aerial, which we'll have a look at in a minute, which is in the back of it. It's got the DIN socket where you can either take stuff out to your tape recorder or put your other music in there and use the speaker on this. But you could also have an external aerial to plug in here for the either the FM, or there's a couple of other holes here for putting an AM and a ground. Let's plug it in. So when I switch it on, you can hear the thing pop, and the scale lights up. You've got this nice bright red light here and scale illumination, which again is also something we always like on this channel. Tuning works, but there's no sound on any waveband. But the fact that I can hear things suggests to me that the audio side is okay. We can sort of confirm that, because I'll just plug a DIN socket into the back of it and we'll put something through it. So having a look inside the thing, and I should really probably have unplugged the mains here before doing this. So big mains transformer here, linear power supply on this, and only one circuit board that has the whole thing on it, so very little inside to see really, in a way. Just that one board. Now if I take my DIN plug here, I have a DIN to phono thing, which is unfeasibly long, really. It's a very long cable. The thing with DINs is that there are 5 pins. The center one is always the ground, and then you have them as stereo in or stereo out, but it's never clear to me which side is in and which side is out, and it reverses if you're looking at a tape recorder, so that you can do a straight through connection. So what I do is I just have this cable here that just labels the numbers, so I just know which pins they're on. So if I turn round, switch this over to TA, which gives us access to the audio side of it, then I'm really just testing whether or not we get any audio out of it. There's nothing on that one. I can sort of hear. No. Now that's interesting. I don't think you can hear that, but there's a hum there. So you can hear that I got something out of that cable then, briefly. So it feels to me like the board has flexed somehow and has got a dodgy connection, because sometimes I get audio and sometimes I don't. I think what we're going to have to do is get that board out, obviously get the power off, get that board out and get a proper look at it and see if there's any track breakages or something like that. Right, so taking the thing out, it's basically you just take 4 screws off and then unplug the speaker lead, which is ludicrously short, and the thing will then lift out. It's a very interesting construction. It's quite a nice construction actually, the whole thing. As I said, single circuit board. Obviously it looks like the RF, or at least the FM section in this case here. big old tuning capacitor, or medium old tuning capacitor, not one of those enclosed plastic things that I was moaning about on the last video. I don't think at this age that these capacitors will be a problem. The capacitors in these things are usually quite reliable, so I'm not going to go off for massively changing those. Circuit board, doesn't look to me to have any breaks or corrosion in it, so although we did see an effect when it was flexing. So what I might start by doing is reflowing the solder around this point here where the DIN socket is. Another thing I noticed quite nice is this springy bit here connects. If I look back at the chassis, so if you look at the case, you can see this nice big metal ground plane here, and that's what that little spring clip connects to. And then you can see that the aerial cable, the internal aerial cable, if I look here, you can see that the aerial is actually another metal strip all around the side of the case, which looks quite good. I don't know whether it actually works well or not, because I haven't turned the audio out of it yet, but it's an interesting sort of setup to avoid you having to have a long trailing aerial if you don't want one. The fact that we're getting nothing, and the fact that the audio, once the whatever intermittent connection is fixed, appears to work, suggests that it may just be that, and I'm hoping that's the case. And I'll tell you why, because when you look at the circuit diagram for this, a lot of radios have a front end for the AM and the FM, and then the things get merged at the IF stage. Now if you look at this one, you can see it's actually two separate receivers that are just switched around the point of where this DIN socket is, and then it can be switched either to the output of the AM receiver, the output of the FM receiver, or the the input from the DIN socket. There's only two transistors in here. We don't have all those horrible old germanium transistors. There's a couple of silicon transistors for the FM front end, and the rest of it is all integrated circuits, which very rarely fail. So I'm hoping we can just get lucky with an intermittent connection around the DIN connector. So that's what I'm going to try first. So look at this bit of the board here. You can see that there's 3 tracks that go round here, and there seems to be some corrosion has got on them. And whether that's just on top or not, I'm not sure, but let's just have a quick look on the continuity, because I think that's actually split those tracks up, or at least 2 of them. Let's just do a quick. So that end of that track is here, and the other end is about here. And yeah, so that's the first thing to do, is to clean that bit up, see what it was. I'm not sure what happened, whether some liquid or something got into it. It's around the cutouts of the switches, or I don't know quite how it got like that. But this one has also got it, but that's on the ground plane, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe there's been a little bit here as well around the switch for the lamp, but that seems to work. The lamp comes on. But certainly we'll sort those tracks out first and bridge them over if they've been destroyed.
About that, Michael in is that Orford? Doesn't own a smartphone, doesn't plan to own a smartphone, and thinks it's good to keep smartphones away from little ones. Thank you very much, Michael.
Well, perhaps Michael should be kept away from things other than smartphones as well, like motor vehicles or revolving doors. Anyway, as you can hear, it's working again now. All it was just needing to bridge that track across, so I'll just put a bodgy bit of wire across it. And shall I show you the bodgy bit of wire? Or do we need to? I need to unplug it first, really, from a health and safety point of view, otherwise I could end up like Michael. So yeah, I just bridged across that with a piece of wire, and that seems to have fixed it. So I think we can just I'm going to clean up this board because it's full of dust. Give the thing a general clean up, put it back together, and this is one of the quickest and easiest fixes we've had by the looks of things, and it's always nice to have one of those, especially after the struggle we had on the last video.
It's BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. It's Nathan Orban with you, Doug Shawman and Mark Johnson as well. And well, the dust has settled on that 10-0 week, thank goodness. Cambridge United losing by heavy scorelines at Lincoln and Reading. So I think we're looking forwards with a fresh outlook, a fresh optimism.
well, I do like a bit of scale illumination. It just puts me in my happy place, and certainly this radio has got that, and it's also got really good sound. It doesn't need the tone control, which is something I'm worried about. It's got reasonable sensitivity with the internal aerial. It's on a separate 300 ohm aerial at the moment, but it can get plenty of stations that way. The AM is not too bad. It sounds okay on the 3 stations that we have remaining that are available in this area for however long that lasts. And such a simple fix, really. We don't often get that. So yeah, a short one today, but a successful one. I'll see you on the next one.